you're a bit woollier than I saw you in the what's the name of the penny drop video I was just watching.
Oh yeah, yeah. It comes and goes. Like it's plenty of nutrients.
Mate, as the man who lives on a farm, was the cowboy get up your idea?
Yeah. Look, I long story, but I used to actually be one of the managers for Dead Lettuce Circus. You probably know that band.
Mhm.
And they were at South by Southwest in Texas. I was over there with them. They were playing, and I'd never been to Austin before. We're having such a good time. Ended up at one of the shops there. I was like, I've got to buy a cowboy hat. So I've had the cowboy hat many years, and really, I felt a fool kind of wearing it. I bought it at the time, sounded good, and then really had no one to wear it. It's been in the kids' dress-up box, and the penny drop cowboy hat came out. So awesome. But the show was like so mad, and our loadout at the end of the night was so mad. Like someone had fallen, not at our show, but at a nightclub, had fallen down the stairs and like dislocated a hip or shoulder. They were in a real bad way in this alleyway. We couldn't load out of the venue because ambulances, it was really sad for the guy. An ambulance took about 2 hours to come and get him.
Ooh.
And he just laid there. There's people around. There was some nurses who were just punters and friends at our show that were trying to help him out, but we couldn't go. So we're sort of, it's a weird thing to say, but we're kind of just partying and having beers around a really injured person in an alleyway trying to watch all our gear. And the cowboy hat got stashed in the rental van and then ended up back at Hertz or something. So I lost the cowboy hat, called up Zane on like the Monday, and I'm like, I've got home, I can't find the cowboy hat. And he's like, oh, I'm like, go back to Hertz. He's like, oh man, I got to work and stuff. I'm like, dude, that cowboy hat means a lot to me. Go get it. Anyway, thankfully they had it like in their lost property, so it's back.
Ah, thank God. Phew. Uh, Keanu Reeves is look. I love John Wick as much as the next man, and I'm loving the resurgence of his career, and how he's apparently just an absolutely fantastic guy. But one thing I've never heard him described as is a very good actor. Is this a hill that MAMMAL is prepared to die on?
Oh, I saw Zeke in an interview talking about it the other day, and I had to laugh because he was backing himself in the corners. But look, it doesn't matter if you think he's a good actor or not. He's been in some all-time movies, classics that I grew up as a teenager loving, like Bill and Ted's. Like, as if that doesn't make you want to like pick up an instrument and rock out. And Matrix classic.
Yeah.
What's going to blow you away? I have not seen John Wick.
Wow. Oh, buddy. Yeah, you got to rectify that shit. Unfortunately, there's
I
now
know,
four of them.
especially I know. Well, I don't know how I missed it. Like, Point Break, Bill and Ted's, Matrix, loved it all. For some reason, John Wick fell between the cracks. Don't know why. So, worthy.
Oh, enormously. The gunplay alone is just absolutely out of this world, and it helped that and an Indonesian action movie called The Raid kind of ushered in a new era where they got rid of all that shaky cam bullshit where you couldn't actually see anything happening, and so they actually like it relied instead on amazing choreography. And it's like imagine the Matrix, all those fight scenes and jujitsu, but with guns. It's just insane. So
Yeah, classic. All
yeah,
right, all right. Well, I'm going to binge it. I'll binge it.
yeah, send it, dude. You will absolutely love it. And you know what? It it plays into Keanu's limitations really, really well because he doesn't have to be, and then he's not an enormously expressive dude, and he doesn't have to be as John Wick.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
just this. It just plays into all the great things about him that make him who he is and make him great. So yeah, man, you will enjoy. Check it out.
All right, good.
What do you say to the rumor that I'm making up for the purposes of this interview that MAMMAL originally broke up because Zeke was jealous of your good looks?
Uh, Probably not mine. Maybe more so Zane's. We'll give it. He's always got his shirt off and looking buff. But Yeah, we had our troubles. I did an interview before we broke up actually, and I was like, we can work through our troubles, and then we broke up. But oh man, it look there was things, there was buildings, there was things building to it, and I had to take some responsibility because I was managing the band, and it got very stressful for me because we are this juggernaut circus train that once it leaves the station, it just gets wild and things happen. And one of the last shows, I'm not sure if it was the last show, but we ended up at a bikie festival over in Western Australia. And who else was there? I believe Spiderbait were there playing, and anyway, it was in the middle of nowhere in inland Western Australia, and look, they were nice to us and everything. It was just what without me saying it, there's certain things that come along where you might think what comes along the territory to party with bikies, and
Hmm.
things got really out of hand that night. And you know, look, I've said it to Zeke, so I'll say it in this interview. I honestly thought a member of the band might die. Like there's things that went down. I thought we're on a collision course. If this band keeps going, it's not everyone's going to make it through 30, through 40,
Hmm.
and that when you get that heightened of stress levels and you're sort of thinking like that, something breaks, and we just put the brakes on and we went and all did our own thing. And I'd like to say we're in a lot better place now. Obviously, this new album and stuff, but yeah, it's just life, isn't it? You got different personalities, different people going through different things at certain stages. Things happen, and tomorrow's never guaranteed, but you want to make sure you live it. And I guess this album is us living it, like ticking a box, getting back out there and doing it.
I remember reading that. Well, actually, they made a documentary about it. Parkway Drive were going
Yeah.
through their struggles, and they made quite a show of the fact that they had gone to therapy as a band. And I remember it makes me think back to some of my favorite bands that have, bands like Sunkloader, that spun themselves apart in ways and have managed to get back together. But do you think if you had your time again, therapy, if the band had agreed to go into therapy, it might have saved it?
Oh, look, it definitely would have just put it on hold and given it time. And then, yeah, things could have been worked out probably. The thing
Mm.
with therapy and bands is if you haven't made it, if you're living on the $20 a day to day, you're grinding it in the van, there is no therapy. You
Yeah,
just got
yeah.
your mates or your booking agent, or there is no one. You can call your mum or your dad to talk to, but there's no one to get involved because you have to pay and you can't afford. So when you see Metallica or Parkway or whatever, yeah, we're going into therapy. It's like, all right, you guys are making a lot of money now. You can afford it. It's worth it for the business and stuff. It's like when we broke up, well, we weren't in debt, but we were just living show to show. We
Yeah.
hadn't. You couldn't say we'd made it yet, and so there was no safety net to catch us when we were in trouble, unfortunately.
Yeah. Man, I've been cranking the album over the last few days. It is nuts, man. It is light years ahead of ahead of the previous record, majority. Just in terms of, I think, in terms of musicianship, particularly from you. Um, what do you, A, do you agree with, would you agree with this? And B, what would you maybe attribute it to, other than obviously a long passage of time?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I've been trying to be a musician nearly all my life, and I started guitar. I don't even think I was good when I started guitar. I played in covers bands when I was a kid. Played with Pete Murray on his first two records, and then like we formed MAMMAL, and all that way you're just chipping away at it. You're trying to get better, but some people are just awesome, and some people it takes longer. I'm not even like I still think I've got a long way to go. I don't have enough time because I work and stuff at the moment as well and family to practice. But look, everything we do, and I do especially, you try your best. Like you literally try to outdo what you did before. And what I think it's either 15 or 16 years since that last record.
Mm.
And so we're different people, but yeah, Zane and I went off and did Black Devil Boss. Zeke did a number of super high solo stuff, a number of other projects over Reactor and stuff. So everyone's grown a lot as musicians. And yeah, so it's funny. We did two songs before this album. We did Crime Scene and The War, and they were like little well, they were like false starts, I suppose. Those songs didn't really, some punters might like those songs, but they didn't fit for this record, and we just felt we could do better. And so they were a little bit of a kick to go, all right, just dig deeper. And because you don't really ever know what song's going to be the good song.
Mm.
I, from my experience managing bands, I've seen from the inside how sometimes some bands, what they release is all they've got. Like that is all they had. They had no spare songs. And there's
Mm.
other bands that they might have 30, 50 songs and then they dwindle it down to 12. And I'm like, I want to be that band. I want to be the band that's got so many songs that you can be picky. You can say, but you can not be precious as well. Like if I've got what I think's a good riff, but Zeke doesn't hit with it, well, it doesn't matter if it doesn't make the record. That's cool. Hit it on
Mm.
another track. So we had a lot. We had a lot of material. Yeah, like we had, I would say, close to like 30 songs, and then it got dwindled back to 17. I believe Zane recorded drums to 17 in the studio, and now you've heard what was the cohesive best of them, which we felt was the 12 tracks for the album. So, it's trial and error. It's also strength in numbers, and yeah, just working on the craft.
Yeah. The yeah, man, I jaw hit the floor just with the opening of Moscow, and Zeke gives it his best Guns N' Roses. Do you know where he was? I was like, oh shit, because it occurred to me that I'd never actually sat. I've seen you live before. Actually, it was at I was first a music journalist in Tasmania from '05 to '08, and I remember seeing you guys at, it might have been called MS Fest or Gone South. I'm not sure. All I remember is Zeke running through the crowd because he was like one of the first bands on, and he was doing his Pied Piper routine.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. One thing about Zeke, yeah, you go.
Yeah, I must admit now I've lost my train of thought. Oh, that I've known of you guys for ages, but I hadn't actually sat down and properly listened to a single, to a full length MAMMAL album. So after I checked this out, I went back and checked out the previous one. But it's yeah, man, the production on this is a really effective. Like your guitars are just, they surround you. It's an impactful mix. Was there a concept to this going in to the production?
Yeah, yeah. We wanted it to be, well, as I said, like with writing the songs, we wanted it to be better. We know, like any band these days, like the competition out there, the social media, the TikToks, the Instagram, whatever, everything is so fleeting. So you just got to do the best you can. And the production team it's actually insane. We use like our friends, but our friends are really good, and we got to use them all on one project. Jimmy Marutis, he did our first EP. He's come so far, and now he's just an amazing producer, engineer. Tyson Fish, we'd worked with him before, guitar player from Rook. You might have heard of that band back in the day. He's just an amazing engineer. And then Forrester Saville, he's worked
Yeah.
with every man and his dog. He's like internationally renowned now. And so to bring all those minds together on it was just really lucky. And it's turned out super well because yeah, we're working with our friends, but we're also working with people that are just own it in their own right, but bringing that all together, gets the result, I think.
The funny thing is, I had no idea that Forrester Saville was involved in this record. But as we were just you talking about, amazing producers, the first name that came into my head was, gee, it'd be great to get Forrester. He did some great work with Sunk Loto.
Yeah, well, he mixed and mastered it, and he did an amazing job. And it was actually the first day he sent a mix back. It was actually shocking. Like it was it was shocking to hear it when it all came together. Like I was like, oh, because I've been so used to hearing where we were sitting in our roughs, and then you've got this certain level of polishedness that came with the mix and this in your face, and you get out there, you listen to it in your car, you listen to it in your house, you crank it up, and I was just like, oh, yeah, yeah, all right. And we look, it wasn't without its revisions. You go back and forth, not happy with this guitar sound there, or drums are too loud there, vocals this and that. And it took a bit of time, but yeah, pretty much we're working with the A team in Australia. If you're going to get a good rock sound, like he's king, and Jimmy's just, I don't know if you know Jimmy Marudis, but he's just got such an amazing personality, and he's just a glue that can bring everything together, and a really good musical mind, good songwriting craft, songcraft. So yeah, I think if you're listening to this and thinking it sounds better, it feels better than the last record, well, there's a good team on it.
Yeah. I was going back through, as I said, listening through the majority. And by the way, this is 100% not stirring shit at all. Want to make this very, very, very clear. The title track, the majority, is obviously a really potent statement about discrimination and all the kind of things that were, I mean, obviously it's still very, even more so relevant today, but were very relevant, when that record came out. But the lyrics of the first verse, I was like, oh, would you guys perform that these days, or like just because I feel
It's
like,
tricky. We just did recently, and I've
yeah,
even had that conversation backstage. I'm like, I don't know whether this song should be dropped from the set,
mm,
because of this lyrical. But Zeke stands by it. It's it's tricky for me because I know the power of the word you're talking about that's in it. It's probably the strong word, and
mm,
I'm your stock standard white background kind of person. You know, Zane's a mixed race, New Zealand and Maori and Asian, and Zeke's got some Aboriginal in his blood somewhere along the line. So you can get away with it in certain places, but I don't know. I don't know how it would go down in certain places either. Like, would I feel
mm,
comfortable playing that in certain places? But I'm hoping Zeke stands by it. It's if you understand the song, then you shouldn't
mm,
be offended. But there is people out there that just say you shouldn't use it no matter what, even in the context of not offending someone. You just shouldn't
yeah,
use it.
yeah,
It's not a word. So yeah, it's an interesting discussion. I'm hoping we can rotate songs in and out now. I'm hoping that with this new album, there's enough material there that we just find the best of the best that flows, and if we don't feel like playing it, we don't have to.
yeah. It is interesting, and I 100% agree with you. And I think it's an amazing song and should be stood by. It got me thinking though. I remember, and I don't know, you and I may be around this. I'm 38. I don't know if you're a little bit older than me, a little bit younger than me, but I remember growing up, and it was sensational when a TV show used the word shit. I think it was NYPD Blue,
Yeah,
and people were like lost their fucking minds. Now they use the word shit in the newspaper, if you still read the newspaper. But that's now considered acceptable print. The N word is the only word in the English language that has not lost any of its potency over the last, ever since it was conceived. And I was like, I can't think of a single other word that can claim that. And I was like, wow, yeah, that just hit me.
yeah, I think it does depend on context. I think like two African American people speaking to each other can use it all day long and be fine with it and get away with it. It's just if you or I came in on the conversation and dropped it, we like to get punched in the face. But yeah, like I don't know if you caught the C word on the record. I don't know
Oh,
whether
yes,
you
I
heard
have.
this.
Yes, on the new one. Yes.
Yeah. And I wasn't sure about that either because that's a pretty strong word, and once again it's in the context use. It's like I find language. I thought I loved Limp Bizkit. When they got the F, how many times in a track as a kid you're like, yes, let's go. Let's go. But sometimes language, how you use it, it can be a throwaway or a turn off, and you can stop listening.
Mm,
So I did ride Zeke a little bit on this record. There is a lot of swearing on it, probably not as much as there was, but I wasn't sure on the C. It got through. I got outvoted on that one. People seem to be digging the track. No one's been offended.
yeah,
It's like when we're in the studio, Tyson Fish, the engineer, he was like, I'd listen to it. Yeah, it's cool. That's what I'd say with my mates. So yeah, it's funny how things in context in art, like, and that's why I didn't cry and quit the band over it. Like in art you can get away with certain things, I suppose, more
mm,
so because than in other things, because you go, well, it's art. Like, art is an expression of everything. You don't necessarily limit it, but I hope that doesn't offend anyone, but it's hopefully they take it in the context of what the song is.
yeah. Now we'll go on to some stuff you can speak a lot more free. You won't have to watch your words the words so much about. What about the cover art? The shark was it it's not a shark, it's a lion.
Yeah, Tiger.
Tiger.
Yeah, Tiger.
Okay. What was
Yeah.
what was the concept going into that?
Oh, it's funny. We're a band that we previously worked with Ken Taylor a lot, like 15 years, 16 years ago. I don't know if you know his work, but he's just like awesome. And he's got so big and awesome since working with us back in the day and developing our logo that now he's too big to work with us. And he's a good mate still. We love him to death. But so the search for the art was tricky. And this is not a created piece for this album. This was an existing piece of art that we've licensed off a Gold Coast based artist called Joel Rea.
Mhm.
And he's actually really well known, really internationally renowned. And, that's all brush strokes. That's an actual painting.
Piss off.
This guy, no, that's not like a computer generated image. That's painted by hand on a massive canvas. And yeah, he is insane. Like you'd have to go to his website, search Joel Rea, and go to his website and check out his other work. Your mind is blown that someone can be that talented to paint like that.
Mm.
And when we were throwing around cover options, how we'd even come across Joel is I think he was a fan of the band and he liked one of our posts back a while ago. And Zane, our singer, said, "Oh, this sick artist liked our post. Check out his work." And we checked it out. We're like, "Oh, wow. Yeah, all right. Wow. What? Joe Rogan's commenting on this guy's work. All right. Well, what?"
Yeah.
And so yeah, we took a punt and we just asked him. We're like, "Dude, you're a fan of the band. What could we do to work together? Could we license something?" Like to ask him to paint something from scratch would be way too time consuming and expensive. So
Mm.
he was very generous, and we said we love this one. Could we do something? He was very generous to work out a deal with us to license it to us, and yeah, like I think it. If you didn't know the band, his art alone is just so
Oh.
good. You're like, oh, what's that? And it suits the penny drop. Like, could that image suit any better? Like, I suppose you've got, us peasants down the bottom being the tiger jumping up, eating the billionaire dominating class just with our majority of power. So, yeah, you can interpret it any way you want. But
Yeah. Mate, this has been awesome. Congratulations on the album. It is stunning. And yeah, I will be. Are you guys playing in Brisbane soon?
we haven't booked a tour yet. Our agent's looking at dates at the moment, so we're letting the album breathe and simmer, and people get to know it, and then we'll have a run coming announced soon. And it'll be great to play it when people know it. We've played Moscow, Penny Drop, Keanu, and Agree to Disagree live already.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're playing tracks that people don't know, the impact is completely different to when you're playing tracks that people know. So yeah, learn the words, learn the riffs, the jumping around. Let's do it when we get out the road.
Awesome. Man, I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, man. Thank you very much for your time. I'll talk to you soon.
I really appreciate it. Chat to you soon, mate.